Awayuki, a virtual streamer, portrays a gentle and considerate goddess online. Despite having a decent fan base, her popularity remained modest with no viral clips. After interacting with her fans and saying goodbye, she intended to go offline, with fans sending farewell messages. However, Awayuki's stream froze without her realizing she hadn't successfully logged off. The viewers then heard their gentle goddess's voice change sharply, followed by the sound of a beer bottle popping open. She then audibly gulped down the cold beer and chuckled ambiguously, exclaiming, "A sip after work feels so good? I'd even drive a luxury car and live in a mansion for it." The chat exploded in disbelief. Meanwhile, unaware Awayuki was watching another streamer, Hikari, admiring her cuteness and joking about feeling like Hikari's mother. She opened another beer, showed familiarity with the risque jokes in Hikari's stream, and even made some outrageous comments about her affection turning sour. After Hikari's stream ended, Awayuki continued to drink and grumbled about her stagnant popularity and dwindling savings. She then switched to watching Chami, known for ASMR streams. Awayuki fell asleep at her desk to the soothing sounds of ear cleaning, while her unguarded moments spread widely online, attracting viewers who relished the chaos. Her stream hit the trending searches overnight, featuring multiple entries about the consequences of not ending the stream properly. The next morning, her manager urgently called, instructing her to stay quiet and immediately shut down the stream. Shocked to discover she hadn't ended the stream the night before and had topped the live broadcast charts, Awayuki was overwhelmed. Her manager, however, remained optimistic about her potential, promising more professional support, as she had believed in Awayuki's potential since her interview. After enduring a massive influx of information and realizing her social demise, Awayuki finally managed to end the stream. Awayuki apologized to her manager. The manager reminded her to remember to end the stream next time. However, she could still continue drinking. Awayuki was shocked that, despite her character collapsing like that, she could still drink. It was a major broadcasting accident. Yet, the manager said she had anticipated such a situation with Awayuki, recalling an even more exaggerated incident during her third interview. She even admitted she struggled to adapt to Awayuki's gentle persona. Awayuki couldn't understand her manager's thinking in hiring her, given her risky character. The manager acknowledged their initial concerns but emphasized that boldness is essential in this industry. Now, Awayuki's stream was extremely popular. Although it attracted some negative feedback, it was not enough to ruin her reputation. Indeed, a group of fans found a different charm in Awayuki, especially after her wild antics yesterday. Awayuki clearly couldn't return to her gentle goddess image. Awayuki glanced at online comments. Although many were concerned about her mental state, the overall feedback was quite positive. Then, Hikari called to congratulate Awayuki for topping the charts and was curious about what Awayuki meant by blasting in her clip. After consulting her manager, Hikari was told that Awayuki was complimenting her charm, which delighted Hikari. This made Awayuki feel somewhat guilty. Then, Awayuki went out to take out the trash and received messages from colleagues. Chami messaged that the real Awayuki was interesting. Awayuki felt her peers were kind, but she was unsure of her true self, having always maintained a distance due to her facade. Initially, to build her character, she had spoken gently while masking her true self, thinking more streaming would convert to profits. However, her popularity was still less than half of her peers. Just 2 weeks into the month, she was already feeling the financial pinch, but after last night's spree, she felt a sense of freedom and happiness. That evening, Awayuki bought a bunch of beers and started streaming while drinking. Seeing a large influx of fans, she felt very happy but admitted she needed alcohol to face so many people. Viewers asked why she said blasting to Hikari. Awayuki replied that it was because she felt Hikari's charm, saying it would be abnormal not to blast in face of such charm. Chatting with viewers became incredibly enjoyable for the first time. Suddenly, the chat exploded because senior VTuber peers joined her stream. Drunk, Awayuki began to rave, asking 2 senior sisters to marry her, assuming a Yuri context. The chat remarked on Awayuki's beautiful mental state, and Utsuki actually agreed. Utsuki then asked Awayuki about her favorite type of Yuri content, to which Awayuki said she liked straight girls being turned. Utsuki and another broadcaster, Sheen, expressed their intention to involve Awayuki in a Yuri performance next time. Passionate speeches are thrilling at the moment, but afterward resemble a crematorium. Clips of the broadcaster who became famous overnight proposing to her senior are now all over the internet. Awayuki decides not to dwell on it and continues streaming with a beer. Today she plans to collaborate with the neighboring broadcaster Mashiro, an artist and the designer of Awayuki's VTuber avatar. They start with a warm-up introduction and then begin reading super chats, which are paid messages from viewers. The first question asks when Awayuki drank the most. She recalls a time during her previous job when she accidentally drank 7 or 8 bottles and passed out, which cost her the job. After waking up, she vomited profusely. Mashiro advises Awayuki to drink less, suggesting at least 1 alcohol-free day per week to benefit her liver. The conversation continues around alcohol. Despite most questions relating to beer, some express concern for Awayuki, leaving her somewhat overwhelmed. After more online antics, they say goodbye to the audience. Before going offline, Mashiro shows Awayuki a new character illustration she drew, which impresses Awayuki greatly. The next morning, Awayuki visits the agency to discuss a new costume soon ready for use. Now a leading broadcaster in the studio, she jokes about how her daily borderline outrageous comments on the internet have made her a top broadcaster, wondering if the company is doomed. The agent mentions that the new costume is still in production, but there is also a plan for a music video featuring the broadcasters singing together, which Awayuki will join. She immediately commits to practicing singing. However, the agent informs her of a dinner meeting that day. At the venue, Awayuki is surprised to find Utsuki and Shin, the seniors she teased online when she first became famous. They are happy to see her, especially Shin, who brings up Awayuki's previous marriage proposal. The conversation is pleasant until Shin notices the menu includes Awayuki's favorite beer, Absolute Zero, which is offered at Utsuki's family-owned restaurant. Unable to resist, Awayuki starts drinking and spontaneously begins a live broadcast from the KTV. Besides singing, they respond to super chats. One viewer asks Utsuki about her favorite type of girl. Utsuki says she likes reliable girls at crucial moments, which Awayuki enthusiastically interprets as Shin squealing over their ship and engaging eagerly with the audience and Utsuki. At the same time, the audience asked Shin another question about her most outrageous collaboration. Shin recalled working with a colleague from the 2nd and 3rd batch who created a terribly bad video compilation, which literally made her stomach hurt. Then the viewers asked what Utsuki and Shin would like to see Awayuki do. Shin thought it would be enough for Awayuki to eat and drink well, but Utsuki expressed her desire to see Awayuki revisit the time she got drunk and forgot to turn off a live stream. Feeling embarrassed, Awayuki tapped her toes on the ground, but agreed to do the live stream later. The group then started singing at the KTV. To everyone's surprise, Awayuki sang in tune. During a private moment with Utsuki, Awayuki learned that Asagiri, one of the hottest broadcasters in their studio, had also been paying attention to her. This made Awayuki very happy. When she first entered the workforce, Awayuki accidentally joined a corrupt company and suffered daily until she saw a VTuber live streaming one day, which inspired her to start anew. As she was about to lose hope, she discovered that the company of her favorite virtual broadcaster was recruiting for its 3rd batch. Nervous, she went for the interview, forgot what she said due to her nerves, but surprisingly passed. She immediately quit her job and started her live streaming career. Thinking of her promise to Mashiro, Awayuki decided not to drink the next day and planned to do a gaming live stream instead. However, after 4 hours of failing to climb a hill in the game, she broke down in frustration, shouting, "Aminos!" which caused an uproar of laughter in the live stream room. Due to her loud outburst, Awayuki accidentally destroyed her microphone. While commemorating her long-used microphone, another broadcaster, Chami, called her. Chami said she had an old microphone set and offered it to Awayuki if she didn't mind the used equipment. Chami invited Awayuki to her house to pick the microphone. Upon meeting, Awayuki found Chami to be a calm and gentle older sister type, although Chami was actually very nervous. Chami handed a box of microphones to Awayuki to choose from and even gifted her an ASMR microphone. Later, Awayuki noticed Chami frequently visiting the restroom. Upon inquiry, she learned that Chami was extremely socially anxious and needed to cool down after talking for a while. Awayuki joked about this quirk and asked how Chami managed live streaming without frequent restroom breaks. Chami explained that she didn't have such reactions during live streams. Awayuki found the shy big sister quite charming. Chami then prepared some food for Awayuki and naturally offered her beer, which Awayuki suspected was encouraged by another friend. Unable to refuse her favorite beer, Awayuki got tipsy and started a joint live stream with Chami, a well-known ASMR broadcaster. Their contrasting online personas created a striking impact during their chat. During their live stream, Chami shared some real-life situations she encountered, and Awayuki suggested solutions. For instance, when Chami felt too socially anxious to order at a restaurant, Awayuki advised her to bury her head in the table, attracting the server's attention to place an order. Awayuki jokingly demanded, "Give me that beer that makes me fly high." Chami retorted that they might attract police instead. Awayuki shared that she too struggled with conversation initially, honed by her tough experiences at a corrupt company. Sometimes, she noted, bad experiences do lead to personal growth. The live stream concluded smoothly, and realizing it was late, Chami turned off the stream and asked Awayuki about her plans to return home. Awayuki playfully asked if she could stay over, to which Chami excitedly agreed, having looked forward to having a friend stay since her student days. Chami prepared bedding, fresh clothes, and even a disposable toothbrush for Awayuki, who ended up staying unexpectedly. After the excitement, a somewhat embarrassed Chami offered to clean Awayuki's ears, asking her to rest her head on Chami's lap. Although Chami was nervous, as she usually dealt with microphone ears and not real ones, she managed to relax and give Awayuki a pleasant experience. They ended up sleeping side by side on the floor, with Chami joking about how fulfilled she felt, declaring herself a fulfillment broadcaster. After getting the microphone from Chami, Awayuki started a new live stream to announce that she had reached the monetization phase of her channel. She quickly received many donations, which moved her immensely and restored the confidence crushed by her previous employer. Money, she realized, brought great joy. Awayuki then showed off her new casual drinking and sleeping attire, consisting of bare legs, shorts, a t-shirt, and a sweatband. Viewers soon began asking if Awayuki admired any senior broadcasters. She mentioned Asagiri, aspiring to be a broadcaster who leads and inspires others. Meanwhile, a fellow new broadcaster, Hikari, called to celebrate Awayuki's monetization, feeling a maternal pride in Awayuki's growth, though Awayuki felt Hikari was more like her own daughter. They also discussed upcoming game live streams. Utsuki also called, inviting Awayuki to co-stream a thrilling game, but Awayuki playfully asked about the color of Utsuki's leather underwear. Utsuki simply smiled and revealed she wasn't wearing any, delivering a knockout line. Later, Mashiro, Shin, and Chami all sent their congratulations. Awayuki thought she had finished calling all the broadcasters she knew, but then another congratulatory call came through. Seeing it was from the same company, she answered. To her surprise, the voice was that of her admired senior, Asagiri, but the displayed character was Hirune Nakoma. Thinking it was a voice impersonator joking with her, Awayuki playfully invited the caller to do various things, which a voice actor pretending to be another would typically refuse. However, Hirune Nakoma agreed to everything, leaving Awayuki stunned. Just after hanging up, Hirune Nakoma called again. Awayuki asked why she had called twice. Hirune Nakoma then revealed that it was indeed Asagiri with her, just using a different avatar to speak with Awayuki. Realizing she had made a fool of herself in front of her senior, Awayuki felt like she had split open, even though she said she didn't have much of an image to maintain. Awayuki got new live streaming props and quickly went live to share with her audience. As soon as she started streaming, someone sent her a large red envelope. Thinking about how the stream allowed her to connect with her admired seniors and earn money, she was thrilled. She then told her viewers about her plan to use a longevity stick for her exercise routine. Awayuki shared that, besides herself, other broadcasters were also streaming this activity. Being a relatively new broadcaster since leaving her job, Awayuki didn't have enough money for this exercise equipment and had been relying on her previous streaming earnings for meals. However, when adjusting her exercise content, the chat advised Awayuki to be honest about her infrequent exercise habits and not to choose too intense workouts, or she might overexert herself. Awayuki honestly entered her weight and exercise amount, starting with a score of 50, which the audience mocked as weak. Frustrated, Awayuki exerted herself and reached the target score, reminding viewers to open 3 windows to watch the live stream. This time, Awayuki, Hikari, and Sheen were streaming together. If Sheen was the gentle big sister struggling with the workout and occasionally letting out restrained breaths, causing passerby Utsuki to keep donating, then next door, well-known daughter-like broadcaster Hikari created a scene like a heated sports anime. But by the end of the day, except for Hikari, both Sheen and Awayuki were nearly spent. After the workout, Awayuki, sore and struggling, crawled to the fridge to soothe her aching muscles with her favorite beer. Awayuki started a live stream to see what other broadcasters were up to, discovering Hikari still streaming and drawing while sitting on an air chair, managing both fitness and streaming. This split Awayuki open with amazement. Then, the chat mentioned Utsuki was also streaming. Awayuki debated checking it out but worried she might be overshadowed by Utsuki's edge. However, the audience urged her to take a look. Upon entering, she indeed saw Utsuki playing an edgy game, overwhelmed by viewer donations. After exiting, Awayuki re-entered Utsuki's stream and admitted she did enjoy watching some risque games. When she joined the second time, she saw Utsuki preparing to play School Days, and both shouted in unison, "Go to SAP, Makoto." After leaving Utsuki's livestream, Awayuki found that her admired senior, Asagiri, had started streaming. Asagiri was playing a card game, convinced that she had good cards. She declared she would eat her monitor if her opponent won, but she was soon devastated by a crushing defeat. Asagiri pretended nothing had happened when she learned Awayuki had joined her stream. She instantly turned Awayuki into card game characters, making for a very entertaining broadcast. Later, Awayuki received a message from a staff member about a choir music video recording. She was told to come for recording on Friday afternoon and that a car would be sent to pick her up. Though the driver appeared as a flat character, Awayuki could see his face and noted that he seemed very young. On the way, the staff member shared how his youthful appearance often led traffic police to stop him. He had considered making an ID car sticker to avoid constant checks, but worried about privacy. To prevent suspicion, he had filled his car with learner's stickers, making it quite an abstract sight. Inside the company, Awayuki met Hirune Nakoma, who greeted her warmly, mentioning that Mashiro and Hikari were also there. The trio had a great chat. Then Awayuki entered the recording studio and had just finished recording a gentle song when her agent told her to record in a drunken state. She was surprised to find the staff member who had driven her in the studio. It was Asagiri. Asagiri expressed excitement about working with Awayuki, leaving her thrilled. After the song was released, Awayuki excitedly announced to her viewers that recruitment for the 4th generation of broadcasters had begun, and she could now be a senior. With the launch of the 4th generation's live streams, Awayuki, now a senior, checked on her juniors and clicked into a stream by a pink-haired, handsome girl broadcaster named Soma, who was actually a superfan of Awayuki. Soma had never been involved with VTubers before and had no expectations for life until she stumbled upon a video of Awayuki, who had forgotten to turn off her livestream. This led her to fall deeply into the world of VTubers, watching every episode and sending numerous donations to Awayuki, even memorizing the content of the live streams. Soma applied to be a broadcaster just to get closer to Awayuki, which greatly stressed Awayuki. The audience was curious about what Soma said during her application. Soma shared that her resume was initially rejected, but she never gave up and wrote many papers about Awayuki, continuously sending them to the studio. Finally, the studio agreed to interview her. During the interview, Soma praised Awayuki excessively, which made Awayuki scream, asking her not to talk about those things during the interview. But Soma was very excited. Awayuki didn't know what to do. She really wanted a junior who admired her, but this junior seemed a bit obsessive. However, Soma assured her she would not interfere with Awayuki's live streams since she was just a fan. Curious, the audience asked Soma if there was any gift she wanted from Awayuki. Excitedly, Soma blurted out that she of course wanted sex, revealing that she was indeed a handful. Awayuki was almost overwhelmed by Soma's confession and then went to check out other new broadcasters. One of them was a fairy character named Ira. Ira became a broadcaster to educate everyone about the charm of animals. Awayuki thought this should be a typical, cute, and appealing character. Hearing Ira seriously introduce and educate about animals, Awayuki thought the studio had chosen one abstract and one normal character to release. Unexpectedly, Ira shockingly began to educate everyone about the reproductive organs of gorillas. Oh no, is this one abstract too? Just as Awayuki worried whether the third person would also be abstract, she found the third broadcaster named Tonie, who looked very nervous. Tonie then confessed that although he looked like an adult, he felt like a baby inside and really needed to act spoiled towards everyone. He decided to treat everyone as his mommy and even mentioned wanting their milk. Is that something a broadcaster should say? Moreover, Tonie was very reluctant to work, breaking down at the mere mention of it. Awayuki mentioned that she might need to buy medical records for these juniors, as they seemed as troubled as she was. Thinking about collaborating with these three in future broadcasts, she decided to first chat with her peer, Mashiro, to calm her mind. The two talked about the new broadcasters from yesterday. When asked by the audience what she thought about Soma, Awayuki expressed feeling a threat to her chastity. Mashiro also mentioned she had heard about Soma, who seemed to consider her a rival. Awayuki laughed heartily, and then ended the discussion there. The next activity was to look at some carefully selected Racy drawings of herself. Mashiro commented that they were well drawn. However, when the second drawing of Awayuki was shown, Mashiro was stunned by the familiar style. It was from a well-known artist who had drawn Racy images of Awayuki. Awayuki felt she had really made it when she saw the third Racy drawing, which was quite revealing. Mashiro remarked on the high quality of these Racy drawings, joking about human motivation indeed being driven by lust. The last image was a bit too explicit, so Awayuki used her own leather case to censor it. She also posted the artist's link in the description, allowing viewers to save their favorite images. Just after ending the stream, she received a notification from her agent that Soma had been applying to the company to stream with Awayuki. Awayuki also received a private message from Soma, which was full of text. Feeling overwhelmed, she eventually accepted the invitation to stream. Even the audience was surprised that Awayuki agreed to the invitation. Soma declared it the happiest day of her life. Awayuki, a master of dirty jokes, had met her match, especially since today's event was fully planned by Soma. Because Awayuki couldn't understand the planning proposal in the private message, it turned out Soma had recorded everything she said. Soma said today's activity was simple, watching a clip of Awayuki after she forgot to end a live stream. Awayuki found this extremely embarrassing and quickly made an excuse, saying she had agreed to watch it with Utsuki. Soma got even more excited and suggested they watch the clip together, teasing that it might count as stealing Utsuki's spot. Awayuki lamented, questioning if there was even one normal broadcaster in their company. However, she reassured herself that watching an embarrassing clip wasn't the end of the world. She initially thought she could handle it, but after hearing her own shocking statements, she felt like she could burst into the screen and strangle herself. Meanwhile, Soma was thrilled, likening it to the birth of a goddess and enjoying the public embarrassment. Quickly, Awayuki reminded herself that everyone has a past they'd rather forget, and that as long as she didn't dwell on it, it couldn't catch up to her. Later, Eira joined Awayuki, Hirune Nakoma, and Hikari for a quiz. The first question was about a type of monkey that particularly likes to steal a specific human food. Awayuki, half-jokingly, suggested alcohol, given her drinking habits, and surprisingly, it was the correct answer for that type of monkey. The second question involved a type of insect that protects its eggs by placing them in dung to keep them safe from predators. Awayuki and Hirune Nakoma each scored a point. The third question was about hermaphroditic flatworms, which have conflicts during mating. Hirune guessed it involved dating, but Hikari, thinking of love as a battle, got it right, explaining that flatworms fight with their swords before mating, and the loser becomes the female. The final question was about a South American lizard's escape method from predators. Awayuki and Hirune Nakoma answered incorrectly. Hikari guessed it involved shooting lasers from the eyes, which was surprisingly close to the truth. They actually squirt blood from their eyes. So, Hikari won the quiz, and they all enjoyed the collaborative live stream. Shion, who watched their stream, came up with an idea to invite Awayuki to a weekly interesting VTuber showcase, which she gladly accepted. The event was set for an in-person meet. Shion's house was spotless, and Awayuki noticed many parenting books on the bookshelf. To her surprise, Shion was holding a baby bottle filled with beer, offering to feed it to her. After seeing the impact of live streams on her gentle persona, Shion transformed into a possessive mommy playfully forcing Awayuki to call her mommy and recording the scene to post online, delighting the fans. In the evening, the two of them started a live broadcast featuring interesting VTuber highlights of the week. The first segment featured Asagiri drawing cards. After several failed attempts without any guaranteed wins, Asagiri boldly sacrificed her bust size to successfully draw her favorite character. Awayuki commented that she had traded her broad bust for her love, and it was a profitable exchange. Next, they watched Hikari live streaming as she ate super spicy noodles. She started crying from the heat at 1 minute and 20 seconds. Meanwhile, Awayuki and Sheen competed to act like Hikari's mother. They immediately called Hikari to ask which one of them she preferred as a mom. Hikari, the master of diplomacy, expressed great love for both. The third segment highlighted Tonie, who claimed to want to be everyone's mother and part of every family on Earth. The video showed Tonie continuously tasting a pacifier, almost leading to her being removed by the channel moderator. Sheen mentioned that she had met Tonie offline and found her to be very serious, only breaking down when discussing work and job applications. Awayuki felt that any VTuber recruited by their unconventional company must be somewhat eccentric. She definitely planned to meet Tonie. That night, Sheen washed Awayuki's hair and shared her desire to stream together, since VTubers always seemed happy alongside Awayuki. Sheen also wanted to collaborate with Tonie, but they had not yet worked together, so they decided to wait and see. One day, Awayuki arrived at the company and found someone lying on the ground like a paper doll. She quickly helped the person up, only to hear them cry out, "I don't want to go to work. Oh no, you've spoken my mind. What am I supposed to say now?" The person she helped was actually Tonie, who didn't yet know Awayuki's identity, but found her voice familiar. Tonie then shared her reluctance to work, revealing she had been a manga artist for many years without success in publishing her books. Feeling she had reached her limits, she began job hunting. However, being in her early 30s with no special skills, she faced rejection from all companies, leaving her with a psychological shadow and a breakdown whenever job hunting was mentioned. Awayuki felt this backstory seemed familiar, so she quickly recognized her. Tonie also confirmed that Awayuki was the respected senior she admired, and even complimented Awayuki as one of the top stars in the company, making Awayuki somewhat embarrassed. Curious why Tonie chose to become a VTuber, Tonie earnestly explained her wish to be a baby, a job she was deeply satisfied with. Although Awayuki found Tonie a bit strange, she believed Tonie's attitude meant she was not a bad person. Tonie expressed her mental preparations and concerns about causing trouble for the company. Awayuki reassured her that their company favored unique broadcasters, encouraging Tonie to boldly showcase herself. Tonie was deeply moved by Awayuki's words and firmly regarded her as a mother figure. In the next live stream, Awayuki wanted to play a prank by mimicking the eerie dialogue often found in certain films, such as asking, "Have you ever done something like this before?" referring to collaborating with others on a live broadcast. Tonie played along shyly, claiming it was her first experience, which made the audience burst into laughter. Then they got to the main topic. Tonie declared it was their first collaboration, but after talking to Awayuki, she decided to bestow the title of Ultimate Mommy on Awayuki, recognizing her as her eternal mom and joking about binding their household registrations together. She mentioned how she had fainted at the company, and Awayuki had helped her up and comforted her with kind words. Awayuki was impressed but nonchalant as they displayed a mother-daughter dynamic on stream. Sheen quickly messaged, volunteering to also be Tonie's mother. Tonie, having a unique way of mother testing, said Sheen was very gentle, but seemed to hide a touch of madness beneath her calm demeanor. Awayuki vigorously nodded in agreement. At this moment, Soma also stepped in to claim her daughter. Their activity was not about recognizing relatives in the livestream room. This time, they were answering questions drawn from the audience. The first question was about their current obsessions. Awayuki mentioned collecting a vast array of beers, while Tonie said she often went to karaoke to sing nursery rhymes and visited family restaurants to enjoy steaks, legitimately using a bib. Asked about their favorite books, Awayuki said her reading was rather abstract, citing titles like, "I Want to Eat Your Beer." Tonie's choice was different, focusing on books like Memoirs of a Mother Lover, aiming to seize the mommy role by all means and fully embracing the baby persona. The third segment involved acting out a sudden scenario. Awayuki pretended to fall into a river of beer, then transformed into a beer deity, swallowing the entire river. Then Tonie mimicked Awayuki's first stage appearance, with Awayuki pinning her down and tickling her, causing the audience to exclaim how exciting it was. After the stream ended, Tonie said she would never forget this day and was thrilled to have met Awayuki. Seeing Tonie tear up, Awayuki hugged her from behind, creating a scene that was not exactly romantic, but filled with intense affection, resembling an abstract form of love. Awayuki also felt moved, grateful to have such reliable juniors. A few days later, Awayuki took Chami to an amusement park, a paradise for the socially anxious Chami amidst the socially active crowd. Going to the amusement park with friends, this activity was truly fulfilling. She was very satisfied. Awayuki took Chami to take pictures, then eyed the roller coaster behind them. Chami, insisting confidently, dragged Awayuki to it. Once on board, Chami got scared. The roller coaster flung them to its highest point. Awayuki turned to find Chami had fainted. They couldn't help but laugh after getting off the roller coaster. They then rode the spinning teacups. Chami had wanted to use the restroom but ended up holding it because they were already in line. She barely avoided an accident after the ride and rushed into the restroom to preserve her dignity. Later, they listened to couples screaming in the haunted house. Finally, Awayuki accompanied Chami on the very fulfilling Ferris wheel, which turned out to be a prison version. Chami felt it wasn't what she expected. Later, they talked about this during a live stream, making the audience laugh. Chami declared she could evolve into being more fulfilled. That night, they stayed near the park. Chami accidentally touched a store clerk's hand through a wall while buying drinks and let out a sharp cry. Before revealing her true self in a live stream, Awayuki was already close with her colleague, Mashiro. Awayuki shared a recent incident during a live stream. She loves a particular beer but found it sold out for several days. She decided to order it online. When the beer finally arrived, someone tried to steal it. Thankfully, Awayuki, who had been working out, chased the thief down. It turned out the thief was a fan of her previous persona, who had bought all that beer to prevent Awayuki from drinking. The fan resold it online. Awayuki gave a bottle to the fan to try, but the fan found it awful. Awayuki admitted she felt the same at first but grew to love it. She hopes her live streams will be similar, initially not accepted, but eventually becoming addictive. Viewers advised Awayuki to move. She discussed this with her agency and has since moved. She invited Mashiro over for a live stream the next day. Before the stream, Awayuki decided to clean up her room, starting with the empty cans. When Mashiro arrived, she found the room clean and Awayuki preparing dinner. While cleaning, Mashiro discovered Awayuki's stash of empty cans. Awayuki argued she just hadn't thrown them out yet, then faced public exposure. The live stream by the two ladies had another purpose, which was to mentally prepare the audience. Mashiro planned to get new clothes for Awayuki since Awayuki has two personas. One is the gentle and caring big sister, and the other is her crazy state after drinking. Therefore, the costume designs needed to reflect these two different personas. Awayuki thought it rare to design a piece of clothing that could suit both characteristics, so Mashiro had a burst of inspiration and designed several outfits during the live stream. They agreed on the designs temporarily and decided to end the live stream and rest. Awayuki wanted Mashiro to take a bath first, but during the live stream, Mashiro invited Awayuki to join her. The chat went wild. After the stream, they both went to take a bath. Awayuki, usually bold in her speech, turned out to be quite shy in reality and was teased mercilessly by Mashiro. They even shared the same bed that night. Mashiro confessed her true feelings to Awayuki, saying she had been following Awayuki's performances since her debut. She felt that Awayuki was very hardworking, although sometimes clumsy and unsure about what topics to use for live streams. Mashiro was happy to see Awayuki on the right track, with her career flourishing, albeit occasionally abstract, but overall very happy. After their heart-to-heart talk, both felt a bit embarrassed and ended up sleeping under the same blanket. The next day, Mashiro styled Awayuki's hair. She recalled how during a previous live stream, some unpleasant comments were made, and it was Awayuki who had comforted her over the phone. Awayuki also got up and told Mashiro that she always thought Mashiro was cool and handled things calmly, advising her not to worry about those comments. A few days later, Cheyenne hosted a live stream that attracted several other streamers, totaling 6 virtual streamers. Cheyenne, acting as the host, announced the event's agenda where the 6 VTubers would perform in pairs, each performing a short skit. The winning pair would receive a prize of 200,000 yuan. Awayuki and Udzuki-sei were the first to perform. Their skit took place in a convenience store. Awayuki, pretending to be a customer on a winter day, entered the store. Both being masters of risque jokes, their skit was filled with edgy humor. After Awayuki finished buying food, Udzuki-sei pulled out a pair of stockings, recommending them as deathly black. Awayuki agreed to buy them, but not to change into them there. Then she picked up a bunch of beers, and Udzuki-sei asked if she needed to equip them right there. Awayuki excitedly asked if it was possible. Koyomi said it was, but only if she changed into the stockings as well. Thus, Awayuki transformed into a bizarre sight, dressed in beer cans and black stockings. Both were promptly kicked off the stage by the moderator. The second pair to perform was Soma and Saya Hikari. Surprisingly, they get along well. They drew the roles of the hero and the demon lord, with Saya Hikari playing the hero. She brandished a wooden sword and launched an attack on Soma, but mispronounced her partner's name right at the start. The demon lord Soma questioned how she could prove that her sword was the holy sword. Saya Hikari claimed that the holy sword was powered by the princess, and she had used it to pierce her highness, saying it was a necessary sacrifice to defeat the demon lord. It turned out the hero was the real culprit. As they were about to fight, the moderator kicked them off for violating the no fighting rule in the stream. The last to perform were Nakoma and Yamaya, with the topic of a press conference apology. Unfortunately, neither had publicly apologized before. Yamaya acted as the person apologizing, while Nakoma sat as the questioning journalist. Yamaya began her apology. Nakoma asked why she had crashed a children's show and proposed adoption to the 2 female hosts, causing chaos on set and even throwing a tantrum like a child. Yamaya explained it was because she was possessed by the spirit and nature of a baby. Despite her adult appearance, she was just a child wanting a mother. She questioned, "What's wrong with a child wanting a mother? Shouldn't the world be blamed instead?" Then Yamaya turned the tables and started interrogating Nakoma about her involvement in the worst baseball game in human history with other streamers. Just as she was about to name the game, the moderator kicked her off the stage to prevent further controversy. The winning team was Udzuki-sei and Awayuki, known for their witty banter. Awayuki remarked that the money was easy and planned to treat everyone to conveyor belt sushi with the prize money. After cheers from the crowd, they went to enjoy their meal. Later, Awayuki joined Aile for a live stream to play a horror game. Aile was reluctant, as she disliked horror games, but had lost a bet. During the stream, she had said viewers could ask any animal-related questions, and if she failed to answer, she would play a horror game recommended by them. A viewer cleverly asked about Aile's weight, claiming humans are also mammals. Unable to answer, Aile conceded defeat, and they had to play Ao Oni. Aile was terrified and asked Awayuki to join because her cheerful nature could lighten the mood. During the game, Aile barely kept her eyes open while Awayuki humorously eased the tension. Just as Aile's character found the key in the library, a shadow chased them into a corner, leading to Aile suddenly becoming aggressive and fighting back with a knife, uttering incomprehensible swear words. Everyone in the live room and the audience were shocked. "Hey, where's my science-loving gentle big sister?" Realizing what was happening, Awayuki suddenly clapped her hands, enthusiastically congratulating Aile on joining their crazy company group. Aile screamed, "No, not this!" Her character hadn't collapsed yet, but Awayuki told her it was too late. Their VTuber trademark was selling their personas, and once that goes off track, there's no returning. Aile vehemently denied it, ultimately splitting her personality in 2 in her defense. Awayuki said she understood Aile's thoughts, valuing her alter ego as well, but the horror game had to continue. So, Aile tearfully restarted the game. Several times, she wanted to hit the monster behind her. Unfortunately, the game lacked this option. She could only keep dodging, dying at the hands of the monster every time, even entering the monster's lair. She thought she was safe behind a fence, but then the monster opened the door. Towards the end, Aile wanted to give up, but Awayuki said she was nearly through. So Aile clicked to continue, gaining a new teammate, only for Awayuki to emit a creepy laugh. Turns out this new teammate was also a monster, and Aile suffered a close-up kill. After the game finally ended, she was cruelly informed her screams during the game had been edited into a Marmot remix video. This live streaming event was organized by Sheen, who brought together several VTubers from seasons 1 to 4, planning a desert werewolf survival game. They had to find a transmitter in the desert and send a distress signal. Among the 11 players, 2 were werewolf traitors. While searching for the transmitter, they had to endure the desert's heat and lack of water, avoid the desert animals, and identify the 2 undercover traitors among them. Everyone was armed with a dagger to protect against wild animals, including the 2 traitors. Survivors had to escape within a limited time to win. If they failed to win in the allotted time, or if everyone died, the traitors would be declared winners. They also had a safe house, where they wouldn't be attacked by wild animals and could vote. Anyone suspected to be a traitor, if voted too high, would be forcibly exiled. Thus, the game officially began. Awayuki fancied herself as a detective. Asagiri felt like a Bear Grylls character. Soon, Saya, Hikari, and Asagiri went to find the generator, while Awayuki's group searched for clues and supplies around. Udzuki, Sei, and Sheen stayed in the safe house waiting. Awayuki and Soma's energy levels were rapidly declining in the desert when Soma made a radical suggestion. She claimed that in a water-deprived desert, one could recycle their own urine. So, she asked Awayuki to urinate. Facing Soma and Yamaguchi's expectant looks, Awayuki chose to extract water from a nearby cactus instead. Just then, they heard Saya Hikari's scream. It turned out that Asagiri had been murdered, which everyone found unacceptable. How could they kill the most interesting person among them? Saya Hikari mentioned she had run too fast, and when she looked back, Asagiri was gone. The group decided to stick together moving forward, with Soma declaring her determination to protect Awayuki, even if it meant taking drastic measures herself. The team split into groups of 3, Yamaguchi, Aile, and Katma in one team. Initially, there were concerns about Aile's ability to handle wild animals in the desert, but she proved to be the most decisive. She stated that loving animals does not mean avoiding danger, especially since this was just a game, and their friend had been harmed, which she intended to avenge. However, Aile was then bitten by a poisonous scorpion, and the poison immobilized her. With the sun overhead, her health continued to decline. Thus, Katma stayed to care for Aile, asking Yamaguchi to return to the safe house for an antidote. Their teamwork successfully saved Yamaguchi, and everyone continued striving to survive in the desert. However, not long after, when Awayuki and her group returned to the safe house, they found both Katma and Yamaguchi fatally wounded. Suspicion fell on Aile, who explained that while Katma and Yamaguchi were fixing the generator, she had gone to find water. Upon returning, she discovered they had been attacked. Aile swore she was not the killer and asked for another teammate to prove her innocence by taking revenge on the real murderer. Shinomai stepped forward to team up with Aile, saying that if nothing happened to her, all was well. But if she encountered any danger, Aile would be deemed the culprit and should be voted out. So Shinomai and Aile went to collect water. Meanwhile, Awayuki and her group headed back to the safe house, but saw Shinomai running back in panic, claiming Aile was trying to kill her. Aile was seen chasing behind with a weapon. Awayuki and the others quickly entered the safe house and immediately held a vote, resulting in Aile being expelled. They thought this solved the problem of one traitor, but soon found out that Udzuki, Sei, and Shiin were also gone. The killer was not acting alone, meaning both traitors were still among them. The remaining people began to debate and vote. Initially, Saya Hikari was in the same group as the deceased Asagiri. Saya Hikari claimed that Asagiri was already down when she returned, but no one could vouch for her. Soma stated she had been with Awayuki since the game started. Saya Hikari insisted she was not the murderer, and then turned her suspicion towards Katma, questioning if Katma believed her. It was only then that Awayuki and the others realized Katma was present, as she had been silent and in invisible mode the whole time. Remembering that Katma had always been with them, they recalled her tendency to withdraw in social settings. Thus, the 4 on the scene suspected something was off with Katma, leading to her being voted out. At this point, Shinomai told Awayuki that she was terrified when Aile chased her. Awayuki quickly comforted Shinomai. With only 5 minutes left in the game, they decided to split into 2 groups to find the remaining communicators. Awayuki teamed up with Shinomai, while Soma was with Saya Hikari. As soon as Awayuki found a radio, Shinomai mentioned that Awayuki was dehydrated and handed her some water. Unaware, Awayuki drank it and immediately fell into a poisoned state. Thus, the actual killers of Asagiri were Shinomai and Katma. Shinomai had attacked others when they were alone and deliberately informed Aile that she was a traitor, prompting Aile to attack out of revenge. Shinomai then falsely accused Aile of being the murderer. Shinomai knew where Katma was all along, having played hide-and-seek with her before, and had seduced Awayuki, intending to kill her herself. Unexpectedly, Soma arrived in time and killed Shinomai. Soma didn't know that Shinomai was the murderer. She just felt that Shinomai gave off a suspicious vibe similar to her own when she was with Awayuki and followed them, not trusting their intentions. Saya Hikari also showed support. Soma then remarked that with Awayuki unable to move, she could do as she pleased, which meant Awayuki was out of the frying pan and into the fire. In the end, Awayuki and her team won the game, and the audience expressed that the yandere killer was truly sensational. That evening, Awayuki suddenly received a call from her agent saying Asagiri wanted to collaborate with her. Asagiri was preparing a large offline concert with a live audience of 3,000 people and an online live stream. The highlight wasn't just the concert. Asagiri wanted Awayuki to sing the finale song. The specific reason would be explained by Asagiri personally. The agency was also surprised that Asagiri would hold an offline concert, as she usually worked quietly despite her popularity and rarely took center stage. This time, not only did she initiate the offline concert, but she also insisted on inviting Awayuki, declaring she would cancel the concert if Awayuki did not attend. Feeling it would be a pity to miss out, Awayuki immediately accepted the invitation. The agent informed Asagiri that Awayuki had accepted the invitation. Asagiri expressed her gratitude and shared her concerns about whether the offline concert would go smoothly. She seemed uncomfortable with others showing her affection with warm glances. Awayuki went to the company's physical location to train with Asagiri. Asagiri complimented Awayuki's voice as being very pleasant to listen to. It was only then that Awayuki learned Asagiri could also write lyrics. Asagiri explained that she was meticulously arranging the music for the concert's final song. She noticed Awayuki seemed to have something to say. Curious, Awayuki asked why Asagiri, who had always declined solo concerts, suddenly announced one. She was worried Asagiri might announce her retirement at the end of the concert. Asagiri laughed it off, assuring there was no such plan. Suddenly, Asagiri asked Awayuki if she had ever taken an IQ test and shared that her own IQ was 160. This was her response to Awayuki's question. Confused, Awayuki went home and searched on Baidu, learning that an IQ over 130 qualifies someone as a genius. So Asagiri was a genius among geniuses? But what did that have to do with her question? Could Asagiri be planning to retire and enter the field of science? While Awayuki pondered Asagiri's intentions, Soma and Mashiro were already arguing in the message board. Both wanted to claim ownership over Awayuki and initiated a debate, which escalated into a live broadcast battle to win Awayuki's favor. Mashiro quickly took a tsundere approach, directly confronting Awayuki. Seeing the situation worsening, Soma interrupted the conversation. Thus, Awayuki asked a key question. What form would their competition take, and what would the winner and loser do? Neither had thought this through and simply started competing. Soma decided to draw options directly from the questions. The opening question was about which part of the body Awayuki washed first in the shower. Awayuki was prepared to dismiss this question, questioning why she should reveal such personal details publicly. Mashiro suggested that being evasive was more enticing, implying that not answering the question was a form of seduction. So Awayuki decided to answer. Soma claimed she would never lose in making risque jokes and mentioned installing a large camera in Awayuki's bathroom, which she quickly dismissed, questioning if the live broadcast would really not be banned. Soma guessed first, assuming Awayuki would wash her feet first, but got it wrong. Mashiro immediately said Awayuki would wash her hands first because they had bathed together before. Soma, calling it unfair as a dedicated fan of Awayuki, protested, but Mashiro reminded her it was her chosen question. He then asked Awayuki about her preferred marriage proposal scenario. showing deep understanding of her personality by guessing it would be something very simple and sudden. Next, it was Mashiro's turn to ask a question. He asked Awayuki about her preferred type of partner, someone who cares silently from behind or someone who is sunny and leads openly. Soma noted that Mashiro's questions were quite deep. Mashiro retorted that Soma usually didn't think highly of her and joked about drawing a comic about Soma right away. Awayuki found their conversation surprisingly enjoyable. Suddenly, she spoke up about a small worry she had and asked them to guess what it might be. After several incorrect guesses, Awayuki revealed that her worry was about their continuous bickering. "Aren't you both my wings?" she exclaimed. "If it comes down to it, I still have two personalities, one for each of you." However, both insisted they wanted both personalities. Mashiro felt that through this live stream, Soma had come to understand Awayuki better, which moved Soma deeply. She realized that the big boss was actually providing her with valuable information. Issei and the two reconciled. Although they were arguing, they ended up heavily teasing Awayuki, who felt toyed with. Yet her biggest concern at the moment was trying to figure out what Asagiri really intended. During the offline concert, Asagiri not only invited Awayuki but other VTubers as well. Asagiri mentioned that her debut was relatively successful due to her immediate popularity online, but it wasn't as easy for the second-generation VTubers like Cheyenne. The initial disparity was quite shocking, and Cheyenne had even considered giving up at first. However, now Cheyenne too has a large fan base. Yuzuki Sei, despite being controversial due to his edgy image, also had a significant following. Everyone was surprised to learn that Asagiri was organizing an offline concert because she usually preferred staying behind the scenes. She mentioned that this secret would be kept until the end. After rehearsals, Asagiri took Awayuki out for barbecue. Awayuki was impressed by how energetic Asagiri was, able to sing and dance all day. Asagiri complimented Awayuki's talent and confessed that she once wanted to be like Awayuki before her fall from grace. Awayuki sensed that Asagiri no longer held that desire, thinking Asagiri didn't want to become someone who indulged in drinking and vulgar jokes. However, Asagiri clarified that it wasn't the case. She simply realized that being herself was best. Awayuki nodded, feeling that her days were now fulfilling. After eating, they went home. The next day was the offline performance. Asagiri noticed that Awayuki was a bit nervous. They even played a game to relax. Awayuki was struck by how Asagiri showed no fear or worry, which was comforting. Yet Asagiri admitted she was nervous too. Awayuki was skeptical until she listened to Asagiri's heartbeat. Asagiri confessed that the thought of performing with Awayuki made her anxious, which took Awayuki by surprise. After Asagiri took the stage, Awayuki and her manager had a long talk. The manager mentioned that Asagiri was actually quite clumsy in private. He also shared how Asagiri had proposed a private concert to the company and had explained her reasons during the meeting, which made him laugh. Meanwhile, the final song was about to start on stage, and Asagiri called Awayuki to join her. On stage, Awayuki performed a beer-drinking stunt and teamed up with Asagiri for a comedic act. Asagiri noted that this was their first live offline collaboration, marking a first-time performance between the company's original and new ace. Suddenly, Asagiri announced she had a confession song dedicated to the audience and Awayuki, a segment Awayuki hadn't expected during rehearsals. Asagiri began singing about a girl's life. The girl was talented from a young age, which left her without many friends. To fit in, she wore a mask and led a dull life. However, after meeting 4 people she could call friends, she gradually relaxed, and her gloomy life began to brighten. Together, they founded the current company and she started working as an employee. To thank her friends for freeing her from a dull life, she became a virtual streamer, aiming to make her character more interesting. Eventually, she removed her mask, and her friends accepted her. After the song, Asagiri confessed to the audience. Initially, she felt more like a company employee than a virtual streamer, thinking of stepping back from streaming to nurture reliable juniors and continue supporting the company from behind the scenes. So, she always felt guilty towards her audience. Awayuki panicked, thinking Asagiri was hinting at retirement. Just as she was about to intervene, Asagiri announced she had abandoned the idea of retiring. Asagiri explained that after the second generation of virtual streamers emerged, she met these interesting individuals, especially after a mishap during Awayuki's stream, which made her realize the unpredictable future of virtual streamers. She found them fascinating and wanted to get closer and understand them. Initially considering reincarnation to chat with them in a new persona, she later decided it was best to meet them as herself. She also fell completely in love with being a VTuber and hoped everyone would accept her sincere self. The audience cheered, relieved she wasn't retiring. Moved, Awayuki joined Asagiri in singing the new song. After the performance, Asagiri declared herself a rookie streamer and started broadcasting again in this new role, with Awayuki helping to introduce her. Awayuki was happy she stayed, and seeing more virtual streamers online, she felt it was the beginning of an era.